This is from Reddit. Okay. I know I was all reading this. This says Hidden True Crime's attorney didn't like people discussing his criminal charges, so he tried to get a civil stalking injunction against them. Ooh, this is some tea. This says a few quick notes to start. Everything shared here comes from public records. Nothing is AI generated and any personal info has been redacted. Hopefully you guys can hear me loud and clear now. One of Hidden True Crime's attorneys claimed he was being shunned by everyone. So he sued his ex and her friends. Let me read that again. Attorney D. Snuts. One of Hidden True Crime's attorneys claimed he was being shunned by everyone. So he sued his ex and her friends, seeking a sweeping injunction to stop them from saying anything about him, meaning taking their free speech, even if it was positive. When the case started falling apart, he fired his lawyer, represented himself, and then dropped the lawsuit. Oh my God.
On Prime Crime.
Christina, we are all very proud of you. This is nuts. But what does this have to do with Lauren and Hidden True Crime? I'm glad you asked. Maybe it's because Hidden True Crime needed someone willing to take on a case that looked a lot like an attempt to silence free speech. And they found someone who didn't just agree to it. He'd already tried it himself. Whether Hidden True Crime knew about his history or whether he pitched his own failed legal stunt as a strategy is unclear. But it is clear now that they got someone who wasn't just willing to twist the law, but had personal experience doing just that. From his own lawsuit, he claimed he was being, quote, shunned by friends, families, neighbors, and church leaders, end quote. Defendant's statements about Dahlan and those whom they were made to understood they were about Dahlan. Can we just call him Dylon? As a direct result of defendant's statements, plaintiff has been alienated and shunned by his friends, family, neighbors, and church leaders. The same have distanced themselves and now respond curtly and coldly, if at all, to the plaintiff. Oh my God, he's Lauren 2.0. Some of Dahlan's immediate family members have forbidden their children from seeing, speaking with, or visiting the plaintiff. Upon information and belief, the defendants made false statements. The petitioner's father and mother, who lowered their opinion of their son's moral character and motivated his, it says here, he said his parents kicked him out and that he suffered, quote, severe emotional and financial distress, end quote.
Bing bang.
This is her lawyer. Now we go down to the prayer for relief of his lawsuit. Wherefore, plaintiff prays for judgment against all defendants on plaintiff's first cause of action. A temporary restraining order on all defendants from contacting Dahlan or Dahlan's family, immediate and extended, friends, neighbors, and or church leaders, and restraining all defendants from making any further statements about Dahlan to anyone in any context, positive or negative. This is the lawyer? Her brother works in this firm? Upon prevailing against any and all defendants, a permanent injunction lasting indefinitely, having the same effect as the TRO. A lifetime TRO? Wow. The word shunned is crazy. All right. An order requiring all defendants to retract any untrue, false, defamatory statements made against Dallin. Due at least in part to the defendant's statements, Dallin's parents took possession of his home and forcibly removed him under threat of illegitimate legal action. 27. Due at least in part to the defendant's statements, Dallin has suffered severe emotional and financial distress. This guy works for her brother at the firm. He is number 28. What is going on? Stop. He is currently broke and recently qualified for Medicaid. Broke. What the fuck? Some of the public records people were discussing included allegations of DV in the presence of a child. But like many states, that info is public and people are allowed to talk about it. It's free speech. Oh no. What is this? Highland City versus Daston Dio. Oh my God. Janice, what's happening? I need the what? What is happening?
What?
Daston. Okay, Daston. Is it Dio? Ronnie James Dio. It says case number, blah, 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 other misdemeanor. This case involves domestic violence, assault, Class B misdemeanor. Oh, this is new. January 9th, 2025. Oh, domestic violence in the presence of a child. It happened September 3rd, 2024. 2 charges of domestic violence in front of a child. This is new. Okay, here we go. One of his jury trials is scheduled for summer 2026. You can read a redacted copy of his lawsuit here. This is so thorough. He dropped the case a few weeks after filing. It's unclear if the judge reminded him that these injunctions aren't meant to silence speech just because someone is saying things you don't like. Here are some of the allegations made by someone he tried to silence. Claim: he tried to change the names of their children without knowledge, permission, or consent of the mother. On July 30th, 2024, defendant clandestinely filed an action as a self-represented litigant to legally change the names of the party's 3 minor children. Ms. Durbano was not served or notified of this case until her attorney later discovered it through a legal exchange search. Oh my God. Claim: he misrepresented information in his court filings about their children and their current custody status. In 3 separate petitions filed under that case number, defendant fraudulently declared each of the minors' mother is, quote, S, and stated that the children live with him at the address of blank, and that the minor's mother, blank, also lived at that address. Contrary to his misrepresentations, Mr. Bono has sole physical custody, and she and the children have lived at blank since August 15th, 2023. He's a liar. Wow. Further, defendant reported on the petitions that the children are not involved in any other court actions or proceedings and did not disclose the divorce action in which Mr. Bono was awarded custody. Defendant fraudulently reported on the petitions that Mr. Bono has agreed to the proposed name change. He was trying to change their kids' names. Claim: he forged her signature on 3 documents. He was later criminally charged for this. Then defendant forged Mr. Bono's signature on 3 separate documents, alleging that she consented to the children's legal names being changed to D''O. OMG. So their name was Durbano. He changed his name to D''O. Why? Are these people okay? Each of these forged documents was then self-notarized by the defendant, and filed with the court under penalty of perjury. Oh my God. The forged consent forms identify them as being completed by S with an address of blank and a phone number of blank. The address is not her address, but it's the defendant's law firm, DMD Law. And the phone number is associated with his sister. Oh my God. He changed his name to Doe. For unknown reasons, defendant voluntarily withdrew the matter. Claim. He tried to get a civil stalking injunction against her. He was not successful. On August 28, 2024, defendant filed requested for a civil stalking injunction against Mr. Bono. See Daston Doe. Again, a defendant falsely identified Mr. Bono as blank. Defendant requested the court award him sole custody of the minor children, with Mr. Bono having parent time at his, quote, sole and absolute discretion. Shall determine if and when Mr. Bono's parent time will be, if any, end quote. He wanted to be in charge of telling her when she could see the kids. Or if she could at all. And that law enforcement shall defer to this order and not the divorce decree. In other words, the terms and conditions of this order shall be controlling should either party seek to enforce this order or the party's final decree, end quote. He wanted this to override their divorce. Wow, they're a whole ass true crime over on this side here. Wow. On August 29, 2024, the following day, the request was denied by the court as an improper attempt to modify custody and parent time to remove Mr. Bono's custody. Defendant never provided service or notice of the petition or subsequent denial to Mr. Bono. Her attorney later discovered the case. How is this guy still a lawyer? Claim. He made another attempt to secretly change the name of their children. Holy shit. On August 30th, 2024, defendant made a second attempt to secretly change the children's names. Again, Mr. Bono only became aware of this case through her attorney conducting a legal exchange search. Therefore, defendant used the same petitions as the previous case. Again, defendant stated Mr. Bono consented to the name changes. Fortunately, Mr. Bono's attorney was able to file an appearance and intervene in the case. Wow, this is shocking. Shar, thank you for the super chat. Didn't Lauren brag about this guy? Yes, he's one of her 4 lawyers. She wanted Christina to pay this schmuck. She wanted attorney's fees. She wanted Christina's money to go to this schmuck. Claim. The court said her attorney represented a credible threat to their physical safety and entered a no-contact order. On July 9th, 2025, at defendant's arraignment, the assigned judge, Kelly Schaefer Bullock, issued a pretrial protective order naming Mr. Bono and each of the 3 minor children as persons protected by this order. The court made findings that the defendant represented a credible threat to their physical safety. Why do I want to say therapy? To their physical safety, and entered a no contact and stay away order, including Mr. Bono's residence and the minor children's school, extracurricular activities, and surrogate care of caregivers' residence. Importantly, defendant was present and personally heard the entry of the pretrial protective order. On January 9th, 2025, Defendant was also charged with 6 counts of forgery. The 6 counts of forgery are in relation to defendant's actions in the 2 matters filed by him to change the minor children's names. Moral of the story: shady people allegedly hire shady attorneys who have experience in trying to misuse the justice system against people exercising free speech are seen as great candidates for clients looking to do the same. This post will probably earn me another letter, but it is all based on public information, and I believe I have the right to discuss it if I want to.